What's up, y'all? We are back again. It's your boy LSHeron254. You're tuning in for another one. Bring y'all some more knowledge. In this video, we're gonna be covering 10 things you need if you're going to LS swap and old school. Let's get into it.
I be looking good. I be gripping brain, nigga. I be gripping wood. Okay. Hey. My seven. I'm gripping in my seven. Okay. I'm flossing in my seven. I'm riding in my seven.
Alright guys, so like I said, the title of this video is knowing what you're gonna need to LS swap an old school vehicle. First and foremost, you're going to need to know the purpose. What is going to be the purpose of this car? Daily driver, badass street car, or something that's going to be going down the track. Once you identify that, it's going to kind of fine-tune your purpose and different parts, etc., that you want to purchase for this said build that you're going to do with the LS swap into your old school vehicle. Now, I've made this list. This list may differentiate from other things that you've seen, but from my experience of doing 3 LS swaps, working on trying to get a 4th and going, these are the things that work best for me. The things that I had to identify, etc., etc. And number 1 was always purpose. Can your purpose change along the way? Most definitely. Purpose can definitely change, and it may be bound to happen. But we're just gonna cover the basics so that you can get it in, get it running, and go from there. So, number 1 thing you're gonna want to do is you're gonna get your engine and your transmission, or decide on the engine and the transmission. 4, 8, 5, 3, 6, 0, 6, 2, whatever you can get your budget grubby hands on, or whatever you want to blow the bag on, go ahead and get it. You also want to decide from the engine what transmission you're going to run behind it. A lot of people run the 4L60E. 4L60E gets a bad rap because the 4L60E is not as durable as the engine that it is behind. 150, 250,000 miles on the LS motor ain't nothing. However, 250,000 miles on the transmission is. So, gotta decide what transmission you want to run. For a lot of you old school guys, Chevy guys, you probably have a 350, 400, 700 R4, 200 4R, R4. All of those will work with some modifications, and you'll just have to do the research and find out exactly what you're going to need to adapt those older transmissions to the new one. But however, that's going to be the next piece of the puzzle. Also with that, we'll include the drivetrain. If you're switching the engine or transmission, you may or may not have to upgrade your drive shaft depending on your use for the vehicle. Daily driver, I probably wouldn't worry about it. Badass street car, yeah, I would probably lean toward it, and definitely if you're doing the track thing, I would definitely look into getting a drive shaft made. If you check out a lot of these 18-wheeler shops, they could or are able to build you a drive shaft based off your measurements and everything, tell you how horsepower goes, etc., etc., like that, and you should be able to get a drive shaft made, no problem. Next thing on the list, so we can get it in there, and that's the next most important thing, sitting it into your vehicle. For a lot of the GM vehicles, the LSX innovation plates are a perfect fit. You adapt them to your current clamshells that were on your old motor, and those are LSX innovation plates. You can order them from lsxinnovations.com. Make sure you use the code LSCR free ship to get free shipping on your order of those adapter plates. That way you can put the engine into your old school vehicle. Next thing, cooling system. Now, a lot of people depending upon how they want their vehicle to run. The LS motor, from what I've seen, it likes to run hotter than your typical small block Chevy. So you don't, depending upon your goals, your needs, you probably want to upgrade your cooling system. If not the radiator, then most definitely I would suggest going with an electronic fan setup. They sell ready-made radiator and fan kits on eBay, Summit, Jegs, all of those places. Or you can be like me and get it in and get one out the junkyard. You will have to do some measuring and such to make sure that it's going to work the way that you need it to, but it is out there for you if you're willing to put in the work and go measure and make sure that it's going to fit your application. So after you got your cooling air system, another thing that you're going to need when you're trying to do this swap is that a lot of people don't go back with the truck intake tube. A lot of people are ordering cold air intakes. When you do the cold air intake, it may vary for your application. You may want to build it piece by piece, or you may want to get the generic one for a truck one and build off of that kit specific to your vehicle. I know that I've used that kit on my C10. It pretty much fit like stock. On my Cutlass, I used that pipe from that kit, but I had to get some different couplers that turned at different angles so that I could get it routed the way that I wanted to and get it placed exactly how I wanted it. So cold air intake, definitely want to look into that when you're doing this swap into an old school car. Now, the computer, there are some options out there. You can pretty much kill two birds with one stone with this one if you go with a Holly. It's the computer, it's the wideband, it's the harness, it's everything wrapped into one. Me personally, I don't care for them, but if that's the route you want to go, you kill two birds, one stone, computer and harness. Now, however, if you do not, you can rework your harness. You can purchase a harness from eBay. You can look at PSI harnesses. I believe it's another company named BP Automotive. I believe they make harnesses as well. So it's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of guys out there that are reworking them and selling them in a lot of Facebook groups and things of that nature as well. So if you look around, you'll be able to find one. Do your research, get one from somebody that is reputable. That way you don't have any issues down the line. Or you can do it yourself. But it's all dependent upon what you are willing to spend the time on. If you are thinking about doing it yourself, lt1swap.com is a very good resource that you can use, step-by-step directions and everything like that. That's what I personally use to do my harness on my Caprice and the Cutlass, and they both are working fine. So no issues there in my experience, but it may vary. Next thing you want to look at is your fuel pump. Fuel pump, the LS motor requires about 55 to 60 psi. Vehicle, depending upon what you're running, 9 times out of 10 what you're running, the stock fuel pump is not going to work. Stock fuel pump is probably pushing maybe like 15 psi or something like along those lines. So you want to make sure that you get a fuel pump that's going to be able to provide the pressure to the fuel system that is going to be able to supply the LS engine with the fuel that's needed for it to run. There are a lot of brands. You can go with a Kimzo pump. You can go with a Spectra 1115. I've used that in a couple of my swaps. I've also used the Kimzo, which is currently in the Cutlass. Both of them seem to be working fine. You can also do the Walbro 255. There's a lot of options out there. I've heard you can use the 96 Impala pump that you can get from your local parts store. It's going to provide enough pressure, and you're going to be good to go. So lots of options, like I said. And I reiterate this every time, because at the end of the day, it's all up to you and what you decide to do. So do your research so that you're confident, and don't just take my word for it. I mean, you can. This is knowledge, or, you know, tried and proven ways to do this. However, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion from somebody else. The harness, no. Let me go back. So the exhaust. Let me go back again. The fuel tank. Now, depending upon what old school you're running, 9 times out of 10, it was carbureted. The fuel tank that is on it is not sufficient. And the reason that I say that is because the fuel tank needs to have a sump in the bottom of it, so that when you turn corners left and right, it's not starving. It doesn't starve the pump and burn it out. There's no interruption of fuel delivery, and with those tanks that have a sump in the bottom of them, you're good to go. So for most GM vehicles, later models did have vehicles that had fuel injection and have that baffle in the bottom of the pump. Just to give you an example, on my box Chevy, which is a 1984, in 84 it was carbureted, but in 88, 89 it was fuel injected. So for me, it was a simple fix to just take a 89 tank and put it on my 84. It bolted right up, no major modifications that had to be done. We did have to change out the sender unit for one off a 8990 as well. But if you do it like that, if you have a vehicle that has a later model fuel injected variant, then that's going to be the best way to go for your fuel pump. If the car that you're doing is older and it doesn't have one, it's not the end of the road. You can do fuel cells, you can do modified tanks. There are companies out there that make them for that, and it's going to be a little bit more pricey, but the end result can still be achieved. And the harness. The harness is going to be, so last not least, the exhaust. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, when you get your LS swap all the way done, and this is probably like the very last thing that you want to do is your exhaust, man. After you get your engine in there, transmission in there, you know it's running good, you got your transmission cross member in there, everything's bolted up, tightened up. Whether you're going to decide to go single exhaust, dual exhaust, X pipe, H pipe, the possibilities are endless. Like I said, do your research, make the decision that's best for you as far as which sound you're going to want to go with, or your desired sound that you want when you do this. So that's about it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for this video. Top 10. 10 things, or not top 10, but 10 things you're gonna need to do when you're LS swapping your old school vehicle. I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comments. If it wasn't, also let me know in the comments, and we'll take it from there. As always, identify your weaknesses, make it your strength. Life is all about choices. Choose wisely and productivity over procrastination. And remember that the hustle don't stop, the grind don't stop. Go. Bloopers, bitch. Now, some of y'all gonna be like, oh man, that ain't how you do it. I ain't do it that way, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Take what you can use and use it. If you can't use it, don't use it. Go find somebody else to watch. But I get a lot of comments. I get a lot of questions on my Instagram, etc., etc. And the reason that I'm doing this video is because I want to know, or try to help people about answering all these questions at once, versus answering 100,000 questions in my inbox on Instagram and stuff. So don't get me wrong, if y'all message me, I'm still pointing in the right direction. 9 times out of 10 in the future, I'm gonna point you to the video right here. So, boom.